Hello everyone, Sorry here, and today we are going to blabber. We're gonna talk about the meta, what to expect for the Runeterra Open, and what you want to bring, because a lot of players still don't know what their lineup is or still stuck on the third deck. So I'm gonna give you different lineups. I'm gonna give you 5 different lineups you can consider to bring. I know a lot of you want to compete in the Runeterra Open, and now there is no restriction. You don't have to be top 700 to compete, or you don't have to compete in the gauntlet to get into access into the Runeterra Open. It's free for everyone. All ranks are allowed, but you need to have 3 different decks, standard format, no eternal cards are allowed. So I'm gonna go through every lineup. We'll talk about each one a little bit. So the most successful lineup, in my opinion, and one of the best, and will probably be seen a lot in the tournament, is Karma Set, Samira, and Jack Seraphine. Now with this list, I've tried to put the most popular list, or the list I think are strongest. But Karma said this one is currently the most popular, but you can obviously change in it depending on what you prefer. For example, Shadow Assassin, some players don't like Shadow Assassin. They prefer running the 2 mana elusive, that when it strikes, it gives you a... what's it called again? I forgot what's it called. But when it strikes, it gives you a coin. There's also players that for example, me, I prefer the 3 mana unit that, let me see if we can find it here, hopefully. This one, Pit Professional. Pit Professional is nice because once it gives you a coin and it can block. It's more for defensive purposes. Also, most players prefer Smooth Mixologist. That's what I've noticed. Me personally, I prefer Serene. Serene is better for control matchups, in my opinion. Makes everything in your hand cheaper. You get to play more cards with Serene. But Smooth is better for fast-paced games where you want to survive longer, right? Fizz Samira is currently the most popular. Now, most people are running the Elegant Edge. I think that's her name, Elegant Edge. I keep forgetting names. Yes, Elegant Edge. Her name is Elegant Edge. Most people are running it, most lists. You could also run it. It's not a bad card. But some players are now favoring Jacked Butcher because of that 1 HP. It does better into decks like Seraphine decks or Karma Set decks because it can survive the Mystic Shot or the Seraphine spell. So that's one card you could maybe change if you'd like. But this lineup overall is solid against Ash LeBlanc. You want to face Ash LeBlanc. And we have also, I didn't talk about Seraphine Jack. Very popular deck right now in tournaments, has been doing really well overall. In tournaments only, on ladder it's not actually doing that great. But in tournaments it's doing well because it can beat Fizz Samira. It's not bad into Leona Samira, and it beats Ash LeBlanc. So it's a consideration to bring. I personally don't mind the list, I would bring it, but I prefer Caitlyn Seraphine over it. Caitlyn Seraphine with the Catastrophe. I think I added the list here. Yeah, this one. I've been playing this list a lot. I've been playing it on the gauntlets. I've had a really insanely good record with this deck. So personally, I prefer this. But this deck is also really good to bring in the lineup. Caitlyn Seraphine, you could, for example, cut Caitlyn as well and add Gnar. What this does, it gives you more a stronger matchup against Karma Set. You get to get the Poke Stick, threaten to level up Gnar, push more damage. So this lineup wants to beat decks like, let's see, it's good against Ash LeBlanc, it's alright against Fizz Samira. You don't have to ban Fizz Samira, you can beat it. Stuff you'd want to ban is Vayne Aatrox, for example. We have Gwen, really strong against Karma Set and your Seraphine deck. Leona Samira can be somewhat of a struggle, also can be very high early, so you probably want to ban it. Karma Set is difficult matchup for the Seraphine. But these two decks can somewhat do right into it. Seraphine can still beat it if you add if you play this deck, for example, and add Gnar. But yeah, this is the first lineup. We'll go for the second one. The second one is a mid-range anti-meta lineup. Now, it's called mid-range. Two of the decks are actually mid-range. The other deck is somewhat aggressive. We have Vayne Aatrox Gwen. Very popular deck. It's been doing well. It crushes stuff like... it does well against Samira Fizz. I have everything down. We'll look at it. Garen Jarvan is also, it beats Karma set and it beats Seraphine deck, so that's why we'd want to bring it. Similarly, Garen Jarvan also beats Seraphine decks, beats Karma set, so you want to target these kind of decks with this. You could, if you want, I've been seeing a lot of Ilawi Jarvan, so you could, if you want, bring Ilawi if you prefer that deck over this. It's also really strong and on ladder right now. And the third deck is Samira Leona. This is not, that doesn't technically fall into the mid-range. These are the two mid-range decks, but this deck complements these because it beats the same decks you want to beat with this. You're good against stuff like Karma Set, Jack Seraphine, Fizz Samira. So these matchups you want to match into and you want to try to beat. Bad matchups you don't want to face is Ashley Blanc. Ashley Blanc is an immediate ban because yes, Fizz Samira can beat it, Leona Samira can beat it, but Garen Jarvan and your Aatrox Quen Vayne cannot compete against Ashley Blanc at all. Jarvan Nalawi, I also added the deck code here if you want it. I'll have everything in the article so you can check them out there. You can put this instead of Garen. Also very strong with the Ilawi, and you get to Cataclysm and you push additional overwhelm damage and you kind of win the game. It beats Fizz Samira really well as well. So third lineup is the Ashley Blanc. Since a lot of people are liking Ashley Blanc, it's not bad in the meta, but do expect a lot of people will try to counter this because it has a lot of weaknesses that people can take advantage of. So Ashley Blanc along with Samira Leona and along with Heimerdinger Jace. What this lineup does, it wants to beat stuff like Aatrox Vayne Quen, it wants to beat stuff like Garen Jarvan, Ashley Blanc, you're good into it, and you're alright against Leona Samira as well. Because we have stuff like Ashley Blanc does well into Leona Samira and all the decks with the freezes. You can survive the aggression they can put. Heimerdinger Jace isn't really popular right now, but it is solid into these 4 decks. Heimer can create torrents, you get to put them on the board, and you get to keep up with their board development. So this is kind of a counter for the mid-range decks mostly. Ban recommendation, you want to ban Jack Seraphine, very powerful deck against your lineup, especially Ashley Blanc. Maybe Fizz Samira Leona can beat it, but Ashley Blanc is gonna struggle. Karma set is also a bad matchup for you. Fizz Samira is the last thing you'd want to ban, but you could ban it if you want, because Heimerdinger Jace, I think, really struggles against Fizz Samira, but you can deal with it. Other fitting decks, I tried to find fitting decks. I saw a lot of people running Gwen Quen, but I didn't like it with this lineup. It didn't really make too much sense for me, so I just didn't add it, because Gwen Quen doesn't really beat Leona Samira at all. Like, these two decks can do really well into Leona Samira. This is 50-50 basically, and Heimer Jace can beat Leona Samira, but this Gwen Quen just doesn't do it. I didn't understand, and I saw a lot of people running it. I just didn't understand the reason for it. I think it does well into maybe Fizz Samira, but other than that, I just didn't like it. Also does well against the Aatrox, I guess. Well, that's about it. But it is a consideration if you want to add it. The ban Samira lineup. You have to ban Samira immediately when bringing this lineup. This is Fizz Samira, Talia Malphite, and Nautilus Maokai. This lineup wants to beat stuff like Karma Set, if I remember correctly, and wants to beat Seraphine, right? It's good against Ashley Blanc, good against Karma Set. So Deep can beat Ashley Blanc, Talia Malphite can beat Ashley Blanc, and Fizz Samira does, I think it's close to 50. It's very close matchup against Ashley Blanc. Ban recommendation, Fizz Samira, obviously Leona Samira. So anything that has Samira in it, just ban it. You don't want to face it with this deck, because Deep does really bad, Talia Malphite does really bad. So just ban it so you don't have to face it. I'm not sure if Leona Samira is a little bit winnable, but Fizz Samira is almost unwinnable. Other fitting decks you can add is Ashley Blanc or Leona Samira. Instead of Samira Fizz. Okay. So instead of Samira Fizz, you could add, if you want, Leona Samira, and Ashley Blanc instead of Deep or Maokai Nautilus. Fifth and last lineup. This lineup I don't personally recommend. It's up to you if you like it. This is a triple aggressive, not actually aggressive, but this is the most aggressive we can have in the current meta. This is Fizz Samira with Kayle Leona. So we're playing the Leona Samira deck, but without Samira. We're adding Kayle instead. There are players that are adding Diana instead, or like 2 Dianas, 3 Leonas, and 1 Kayle. I noticed most people are preferring 3 Kayles because Diana, they've been struggling to activate her Nightfall, and it was just not worth it. You could also add a stun here, the Pirate card. The 2 mana that deals 1 damage and stuns a unit, you can add that. I saw a lot of people adding that. Sets up stronger attacks if you want. And the third deck is Anigen. Anigen is maybe a bait, probably a bait. So you could cut it out, but it is a consideration if you like playing aggro. You can bring Anigen. And you can, personally, I would prefer running Caitlyn Seraphine or Gnar Seraphine. You can add Gnar Seraphine because this lineup wants to beat decks that are Karma set. It wants to farm Karma set, and it does really bad against any Caitlyn or Caitlyn Jace. Anything with a lot of removals, cheap removals, can build the board very fast, is really bad for you. Other fitting decks is, yeah, change anything for Anigen, and anything that can beat Karma set is probably good. You can even throw in a Vayne Aatrox if you want. The only problem with Vayne Aatrox is it's bad against Ashe LeBlanc, because you want to at least be okay into Ashe LeBlanc. And these 2 decks have a fighting chance against Ashe LeBlanc. Anigen should probably farm Ashe LeBlanc. So yeah, pretty much this is my 5. These are my 5 lineups you can bring. Everything, the deck codes and all, will be in the description. I'll add the link to the article, and you go there and just copy the links. But yeah, personally, I prefer the first lineup. Second lineup is also very good anti-meta deck. Does really well, I think, against most of the lineups you will probably see. You can beat stuff like Karma set, Jack Seraphine, and Fizz Samira. So these are popular decks that you will most likely see players playing in. Bringing to the Runeterra Open. Also, last advice: bring stuff that you are comfortable on. Don't bring something you don't feel comfortable, because I think the main factor to win these kind of tournaments, especially when it's open tournament, like everyone can play, and you don't know what your opponent will bring, is bringing decks you will most likely have the least amount of misplays on it. The lower the misplays, probably the better than bringing a lineup that's powerful that can beat anything. The lower the misplays, probably the better. Well, yeah, this is it for me. Good luck tomorrow. Hopefully it goes well for you. Hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.